Alright, Roger once again, Mudfossil University. Herodotus' map from 450 BC showing Atlantis right there next to the Atlas Mountains. At one time, this was all ocean in here, and it drained out into this ocean. There was a border between them, it appears. From everything I can determine, that's the case, and I'm going to show you the details, and we'll get back to this map at the end. Alright, this is Africa. This here and this here is two things, and this here is another thing that washed all this out into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, let's see what I'm saying this thing is, that thing is, and the other thing is. Here's the first thing, is a dragon, which is right here. That's his head. This is his dragon neck that goes way, 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 way down. This is the runoff effluent of a decaying dragon decomposing in the desert in Morocco. It has not been there forever. It's been there on top of the surface. I would say that's been here since recent human history. It is spitting something out, and I'll show you. It's at a giant fish. I will show you that in a minute. Follow this. You have Google Earth, I'm sure. I would hope you do. You can follow this. It goes all the way down. This is all the way down here. This is his body. There's his legs. The back comes down here, all the way out here to the tail, and I will show you at the end of the tail his dragon-scaled tail, which is right there. Alright, and that's the runoff of blood from an effluent of a decaying body, the same as in the front. You see it? You go to a coroner, he'll understand that. Now let's go to the front, and I'll show you his decaying neck. It's the same dragon scales in his neck. It's a dragon. I mean, you can go up and look at it. If you don't agree, well, good for you. But I say this is a dragon, and I can see every little detail that they talk about the dragons. This fluty little fuzzy stuff, all that flary looking stuff, they're red. Now, what's he spitting out of his mouth? What is that? It is nasty, 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 nasty. And again, go up here and look at it. It's up to you to do your little bit of investigation on your own. But he spit that at this fish. And when I say fish, you say, well, what fish? Well, let's see what fish. It hit right here and combusted. And then it combusted all over the fish, and it created this, killing this flesh. This was vital fish flesh. And now it's dead. Here's the fish. That's his fin. He's spitting at him, and he did it. Now, he killed this part of the fish's back. This is all the fins. You see him? I mean the scales, I'm sorry. Then this is his tail right here. And that's his back. And he bit the fish. Now, or spit at it, whatever he did. Now, down here is Atlantis. Been showing this for years, and nobody's paying attention. I have no clue why. It's very, very exciting to me. And this is exactly where Herodotus puts it on his map. I'm not kidding you. I'll show you the map. And Plato says the same thing. He says, when it happened, he said more mud ran out, and you could see it. He said they would never talk of mud again. And it ran out into the Atlantic Ocean, created Cape Verde Islands, and then covered the whole thing. They say it happened, but they think it happened offshore. I can't imagine why they don't see this. They don't have their eyes open wide enough to see these things. I mean, they're amazing. I'm not saying this is normal. Hey, look at that, a big fish. Well, it is a big fish. Yeah, a big dragon. You don't just walk up and look at that. I looked at Atlantis for 2 years. Never saw that, never saw that. Your eyes don't see things that you're not expecting to see. It's as simple as that. And these things were all written about in history. So, we see there is dragons. There's no question about that. And I say there was a lot of them. And this guy, Kinnigan, is going in and correlating all this stuff. It takes a lot of work to do that. You got to sit around and look at all these things and categorize them. I did a lot of that too, but I'd rather do the research on the other things. That to me is tedious. I don't have time to do that. So he's doing a great job. And I've seen all these things are written. What he's saying is not nonsense. He's correct with what he's saying. As far as I can determine so far, everything I've seen, I can stand behind that he's saying. Although he has a certain take on the current state of affairs and who was running the world and so forth. And let's put it this way. if these reptilians were here and they continued forward, then there might be some here now. So they're doing something. I don't know what's going on. I have that. This I can't tell you. All I do is go in the past and see what was there and look at the chemistry and elaborate on that. But there are lines of dragon people, like the Sinclair line in the Rosalind Chapel. There's I'll see if I can find it. Hold on. All right, every culture talks about dragons. This is the Sinclair family lineage was dragons. This is the apprentice serpentine column out in the Rosalind Chapel, and they're dragons. And they were talking to the curator, whoever the person is who runs it. She said that is they come from dragons. That is the family lineage. And Alfa Romeo. Well, here, hold on. Here's what I have up on here, Dueling Dragons Aftermath. These are showing dragons eating babies, it looks like. Now, they say, oh no, they're spitting them out like the dragon's giving birth to them. Either way, it's pretty freaking wild, man. Now, this is the, look at it. That is the logo of Alfa Romeo. I can tell you what it is and what you see. And I can't remember. I think it's the I forget who it was. One of the very powerful families. That is their family crest. All right. Once again, I'm going to point to academics failing to do their job. This is Herodotus's map. This is one of the first maps ever made, 450 BC. Atlantis. Look at that. What does that look like? It's an eye. It's the eye of the Sahara, and that is right there where the Atlas Mountains are, Atlantis, just south of the Atlas Mountains. Pillars of Hercules are up here, but there is a straits right over here, and they said it was right outside the straits. There was all ocean in here. The entire thing was ocean. When that eye collapsed, there was a straits, and that allowed in and out of here, but the Atlas Mountains bridged this entire thing in. When that collapsed, and instead of collapsing in a day and a night, and everybody was trapped there. And I have found the boat slips, and I have found the channels, and I have found all the evidence, the stadia, which they talked about, which was the foundations of the stadiums and so forth. All kinds of stuff I found. Everything is there, buildings and the whole 9 yards. And it's all there. It's just waiting here. Nobody's paying any attention to it. Anyway, that collapsed and pushed out here. And this is Herodotus's map. And he talks about other things. Herodotus was a hero, an absolute hero. And I'm going to tell you another thing about Herodotus. This goes back to 450 BC. What he did was he went and he traveled all the known world. He talked to everybody, and he says in his writings, and he's got a lot of them, that all he did was to just ask what was written here, what was said. That's all he did. And he compiled it. And then they called him the father of all lies when he was alive. Father of all lies. Of course, he's also called the father of history because he's basically the first one to really get deep into it. And it's very, very, very fascinating. I mean, all this stuff was over women almost. I'm not kidding you. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, this was the known world back then. And he tells about how the rivers melt and all these things. He's very, 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 very good historian. Absolutely the father of history.